give you our 5 keys to victory. What do I think, humbly, what do I think that LSU's got to do? The 5 things that they have to do to come away with the win against that week's opponent. Now, we don't do them on bye weeks, clearly, but see here nor there. Let's get to number 1. Guys, you got to get off to a fast start. I cannot emphasize this enough. They will not be, meaning A&M, they will not be able to beat you if you get up on them early. They won't. Now, you can't play around with them. You got to continue to extend your lead and continue to get points. I don't think that they can play catch up with you at all. I look at them as a team, and I look at Conner Weigman. Now, Conner Weigman has been good in spurts. He's shown up for some games. If we're being honest, he showed up against you 2 years ago, but this isn't the same team nor situation. You're playing much better. You're playing much differently defensively right now than you ever have been. So I look at this team, and I look what you do have defensively. I look at what you do have offensively and say to myself, I think that you get up early on A&M. You know, if you replicate what you did literally a week ago, guys, you're going to start feeling really good about this team, and I'm going to feel really good about the game, and you sit. Now, starting off fast, I know that you got to continue to do great things throughout the game. Sure. But, guys, you got to get at minimum 7 points in the first quarter. Get a score on them. Get points. I don't see them being able to get in a shootout with you. They can't get in a shootout with you. Guys, against P4 opponents, Mississippi State, Notre Dame, Missouri, there was all one thing in common. Guys, they want to lean on their running game, and then they'll go through the pass. You know, I look at Arkansas. Arkansas is a tough team. Guys, you just notice that. Just because you beat them down does not mean that they're not a good football team. Records do not say who you are as a team. Context is key. You get off an early start. Garrett Nussmeier starts the game off hot. He starts the game off being consistent. And you get in a place where they're having to drop back more than they're comfortable than doing, then they're going to be in trouble. Now, one thing is 1,000% for sure with me on this A&M team. Guys, they are 80th in the country in explosive plays. They have 16 of them. 12 of them have come through the running game. So when I look at A&M and I look at them as a team, they have had struggles, even Marcel Reed, regardless. Conner Weigman included. They've only had 12 of them. 16 of them. They've only had 4 through the air. Like 2 of them came against Missouri. I'm trying to think of another one that I remember seeing. Yeah, 2 against Mizzou. 1 against Arkansas. 1 for Arkansas went for a touchdown, but that was the only one that you had in the game. Guys, you got to lean on Garrett Nussmeier. You do. Who's going to outduel who? And be real with you, I'm going with 13. When I tell you, and Mike, we've been discussing all week, that they want to methodically move the ball down the field, it's 100% what they want to do. I feel like in the passing game sometimes, they just want to play pitch and catch. They're not out there to do anything spectacular. Guys, out routes, hitches. Now, they'll get into some exotic stuff, but bubble screens. Guys, the Barber kid at wide receiver for A&M, I guarantee you that he's going to catch a bubble screen this week. Guaranteed it's coming. And it 1,000% is coming because you at times will play a little off coverage. And they want you to play bump and run because they got a 6'6" wide receiver and Noah Thomas on the outside. So there are matchups in this game and things that they want to do. But there's one massive thing that we're going to talk about, and it's actually number 2 that I'll hold off into it. If you're able to get out to a fast start, they can't play catch up. They want to slow everything down. You know, I think Brian Kelly, to his credit this week, has not visibly come out and said this, visibly. He has not come out and vocally said this to the media corps, but he's been giving hints. Guys, he's been asked about Mike Elko, and the things that he says about Mike Elko, they're built and they play exactly how I would expect a Mike Elko team to play. Tough, gritty, good defense, run the football. What is he saying without saying? Because we are prepared and know what we have to do there. They get off to a fast start. You do not need to play catch up with them. You don't need to play anything with them. Now, can you? Yes. But you got to execute very well to start off this game, and you'll be fine. Number 2, guys, it is imperative this week. Imperative. And something that you have done very well of in the last 3 to 4 games. Your guys in the second level, which they have been doing, and in the front level, the front line of scrimmage, guys, you got to tackle well and you got to be fundamentally sound. You got to have gap integrity. If you get out of position, like what GeauxTigers did last week, when Jackson was able to bust off that long run and Greg Penn gets the fumble. Guys, it's not a bad play. It's a blown assignment, and a massively blown assignment exactly where they're running the football. Le'Veon Moss, who's from here, is in my opinion, people want to label him as a bruising back. No, he ain't. He is a one-cut back. His vision is really good. He's going to find the hole. If you make a mistake, he is going to be there. He's going to be there. He 1,000% has shown this year that his vision is something spectacular. It really has been. So, the 3 guys that you have in the second level attacking this. Number 1, Major Burns. Let's start right there very quickly. Guys, Major Burns, whether being on the tackle or not, has transformed his play, whether it be USC, whether it be Ole Miss, or whether it be Arkansas last week. When that young man is at the line of scrimmage or in the box, I shouldn't say line of scrimmage, but when he's in the box and closer to the line of scrimmage, that is where he lives. That young man can make a living. I'm not saying he's an NFL player. Just he could make a living being a rotational piece that can do good things for you in the run game. You're not doing many things special with Major Burns. Now, there have been times where Blake Baker has teased Major Burns at the line of scrimmage blitzing, and then Major Burns backs out at the last moment and goes into a deep coverage. So what you're seeing pre-snap is not what's happening post-snap for the quarterback. It happened to Jackson Dart twice, and he threw on 3rd down before the sticks, and you were able to make tackles to get off the field. Whit Weeks has emerged himself post-Harold Perkins. Him and Major Burns, in my humble opinion, is the reason, and it's not just them, I don't want to say it's the only reason, but it has been the reason that you have shot up so high statistically in the defensive run game. You have stopped the run very good. And I brought up a stat this week. I'll bring it up again. I do think that I hate taking out plays that actually happened in games. I hate it. But one thing that I wanted to make very much well known this week is that if you do take up those boneheaded plays that you missed assignments in, guys, you've been from a whole game perspective. Like, just remove those from your mind about the defense right quick. For 3.5 quarters outside of that, guys, they've been very consistent. And it's going to be interesting Because I do think Le'Veon Moss is going to break one on you. I do. I mean, you let Ulysses Bentley. You didn't let Jackson and Arkansas do it last week. You let South Carolina. I'm all but chalking up that you're going to give one this week to Le'Veon Moss. With that being said, through the 3.5 quarters outside of that, you have been somewhat pretty impressive at stopping the run. Ahmad Bro is a big deal in that, and we don't talk about him enough because he's not making plays. But him being fundamentally sound the way that he has been, and I know that a lot of people don't like the coach speak of it, but him being exactly where he needs to be on every single play has propelled Whit Weeks. You know, the truth of it is, if you watch an all 22 copy, there is a life where Whit Weeks should be giving Ahmad Bro NIL money because he has freed him up in multitudes of situations that have benefited him. Tackling. You've been getting so much better at it. You're playing with a great momentum, tackling ball carriers. Guys, confidence is a big deal. It's a massive deal. The confidence of this defense has not shown up anywhere more than this team tackling. Guys, the Sage Ryan big hit from last week is confidence. It's confidence. Man, if you are consistently getting to the ball carrier in the run game and they're only getting 2-3 yards a pop, I'm going to feel really good about where you're at right now. Chase Basantis being out is a big deal, man. I don't think that we have talked about it enough because I don't think that we've known enough until last night that Chase Basantis, the offensive lineman who you were recruiting and you wanted, Chase Basantis being out is a big deal. It's a big deal. He's a top 50 player coming out of high school. He's a really, really good offensive lineman. Has been projected at like a first, second round, maybe even early third. I mean, late first. I mean, but there have been a lot of people saying that they think that he could sneak into the end of the first round. I don't know about that. I'm not a draft guy. But I know that what I've seen from him on film, guys, it's gonna be an interesting night. And I think that you can have success, but you got to continue to do what you're doing. The confidence is there. The attention to detail has been there. So many great things have been there in the run game. But number 2, tackle. Continue to be dominant in moments in the running game, and you'll be just fine. Number 3. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this one because you've heard it for 3 straight weeks now. Actually, probably 4 straight weeks. Guys, you cannot turn over the football. You just quite simply cannot turn over the football. And I think that Garrett has been better since the last one he threw against Ole Miss. If you look at the around 50 throws that he's had or 50 attempts total that he's had since his last interception, has he made some boneheaded decisions in there? Yes. Almost got picked twice against Arkansas. But, man, you got to take care of the football. Now, I do humbly believe that this LSU team is going to attack that secondary. With Chris Hilton coming back, potentially. I don't know how many snaps Chris Hilton's going to play, okay? But I humbly believe that he gives you the ultimate ability to do something that Garrett Nussmeier has been missing. Chris has been, and we saw in Wisconsin, and I'll tell you what my eyes saw during the preseason when we were at all the practices. That connection was hitting on a lot of cylinders. And I don't know what's going to happen with Chris. I don't know. Like I've been hinting to you all week. Guys, I put him as our thumbnail last night on the show. Guys, go to last night's show. The cover art of it is Chris Hilton. The reason it was Chris Hilton is because I throw as many hints out here as I can. But there are levels of me that needs to see it. I think that you're going to test this secondary a lot, and you need to do it early. I do not think that they faced a quarterback like yours. I don't think they faced a wide receiver core that is as good as yours. I don't think that they have seen a dude like Kyron Lacy yet outside of Luther Burden. And Luther Burden went off on them. The problem with the Luther Burden thing is that all the stuff that Luther Burden had came back on penalties, and his quarterback didn't have time. So the best guy that they play, a first-round pick in Luther Burden, I get it. If Missouri could have given their quarterback more time, guys, they had dudes open. They 100% had dudes open religiously. Go back and watch it for yourself if you'd like. But Brady Cook's inability to be able to get up in the pocket and make throws really hurt them. The turnover that he had broke their back. It broke Missouri's back in that game. And I know what a lot of you are going to say. Blake, you talk about this every week. We know that you hate Garrett. Guys, it's not remotely true. I don't know how else I can put it, that I think he's borderline becoming elite if he can continue to do some of the smart decision-making he did last week. That is the ultimate compliment that I feel like that I can give. Borderline elite is I just don't know. And some of you continue to come on me about that. However, if you've ever played football a day in your life, which the people that, ironically, I feel like that haven't played are the ones that kill me on this. Guys, turnovers are a big part of the game. It's a massive part of the game. Quite honestly, guys, when a team gets a turnover, is one of the biggest plays, probably the biggest thing that you can do. It's the number one thing you can do defensively. So if scoring touchdowns is the best thing that an offense can do, getting turnovers is that for the defense. When you allow and give them the ball back on extra possessions, like, for example, you need a miraculous play by a miraculous player in Braden Swinson to stop Ole Miss on a fourth and short in the red zone, because you turn the football over in one play. You can think whatever you can have the opinion on me about whatever you want, but if Garrett does exactly what he did last week in the decision-making realm, with now having potentially a guy that he can take shots to, I feel very good at where you sit. Guys, the biggest key is I think that you 100% can beat this secondary. I think that you can beat them. If you're asking me their weakness defensively, it's their secondary. It's not remotely close. It's not. I know that when I say not remotely close, it feels like it's a big gap. I'm not saying they're boo-boo, but baby, they have been boo-boo in moments. They have gotten some really lucky breaks in certain situations. So Garrett's got to be good with the football. Get on me, hate me, kill me, whatever. Yeah. Stay with the running game. So listen, there's number 4. Stay with the running game. Guys, if I would have told you this time last week that A&M playing Mississippi State, number one, that it would be close, it'd be a 10-point game, and that Mississippi State's running backs would do some really spectacular things on A&M, what would you have said? Well, you probably said, well, they're probably coming out lazy. You know, it's Mississippi State. Guys, like I said last week, the number 4 key to victory for me last week against Arkansas was continue with the run. You're going to bust one wide open with Caden Durham. Well, it happened in the first drive where he scored a touchdown. Guys, I know this D-line's good for A&M. They are a good unit. Cannot emphasize that enough. They have been leaky. So, when I look at A&M specifically defensively in the running game, I've heard about their defensive line. I've heard about their linebacking core. This is my humble opinion. This is not throwing shade at the A&M defensive line at all, because it's the 3rd best defensive line in the SEC that I've seen this year. But I think that you've played the 2 better ones. For example, I do think that South Carolina's got the best defensive line in the SEC. I think Ole Miss is at 2, and I think A&M is at 3. Okay, outside of LSU. Teams that you have played. LSU's also up there, if we're just being honest. But that unit for A&M has had moments against, let's look at these. Against Bowling Green, they gave up 2 15-yard runs. They gave up 3 15 or 15-plus runs against Mississippi State. By the way, Mississippi State also had 4 runs 10 yards plus because they had 150 yards. Mississippi State had 150-plus yards running the football on A&M. They have been, at times, at assignment incorrect. They have been out of gaps. And if you can exploit that, and Caden Durham, who is going to continue to just get more healthy as the weeks go on, if Caden Durham can continue to do what he's doing, he's going to bust another one. I don't know if it goes for 6. I don't know about all that. But he's going to bust a run that gets you 8, 9, 10, 11 yards, maybe even longer than that. But you got to stay with it. You can't just give up on the run in one play. And I do think that you are going to have some success there. I think you're going to continue to have success there. But in reference to the run game, not only staying with it, man, I think that having that with Caden Durham has been good, but I would even still incorporate the stuff you did with Caleb Jackson in the out of the pistol. Guys, if you line up in the pistol and you're running the football, okay, and you're getting 4, 5, 6 yards, like, guys, Caleb Jackson had 5 carries for 30 yards last week. If he does that again this week, oh, good googly moogly. I'll be jumping for joy. Like, if you replicate that, please. Because if he does, guys, he can get you some of the tough yardage. 100%. We say this on the show all the time. Like Tyson, punch him in the mouth a little. You know, Walter Nolan was a big deal of why A&M stopped you a year ago. We talked about that a lot in that post game. Walter Nolan's a dude. J.J. Pegues is a dude. So, yeah. In reference to that, I just want to add on to this before we get to key number 5 here. I need to add on to this. I do think, though, that there is one big area that I want to see. How does Will Campbell versus Nick Scorton play out? Now, I have a lot of faith in Will Campbell. A lot of faith. A lot of faith. They can't get after the passer now. It's not missed upon me that they can rush the passer, and they only need to send 4 to do it. I think you're going to win that battle. Like, I really do think you're going to win that battle. But it's just something to note because it's your best unit versus what they think is one of their best units. I think that your unit's better. So it's going to be interesting to see if Elko, because Elko wants to get after the quarterback. He doesn't like playing passive. What's going to be interesting to see is if he brings pressure on Nuss, what happens. It's gonna be very interesting because Elko does not like being guys. He's been passive in moments this year for A&M, but he's been allowed to be passive with his front four. I don't think he does that this week. Guys, he was trying to heat up Van Buren last week. Van Buren, the new quarterback at Mississippi State, he was sending a lot of stuff at him. And that kid, for what it's worth, he made some plays on him. But you know what he did on both of them? Both of the times that they sent heat and got pressure in his face, he threw 2 hitch routes that were completed. Of course he did. I hope Elko does send the heat. Because if Nuss sees it, they're screwed. I don't trust their secondary. But yeah. All right, last but not least, it's the complete opposite of what we just talked about. It's about Conner Weigman. Guys, I think that Conner Weigman, the quarterback at A&M, has a lot of really good traits. Really good traits. I think that there has been massive spurts in situations where he has played pretty flawlessly in moments. There's also been Mississippi State games. But here's the thing. Here's the thing that I'm looking at with Weigman that I do think is interesting. What I think is interesting about this is normally when a quarterback of his talent level has a bad game, normally they turn around and try to correct those mistakes. You should know that, LSU fans. It's what Garrett Nussmeier did a week ago. But there's one thing that I think that Conner Weigman can't hide from on film. What he cannot hide from on film is that I think he gets happy feet. No, I'm not talking about the Penguin movie. He gets some happy feet in the pocket. So, I know that you like rushing 4 and Braden Swinson. Please, dear Lord. Braden Swinson's going to be going up against a right tackle that hasn't allowed a sack all year. It's their Will Campbell. Now, Chase Basantis is out. I'm interested to see what they do with Braden Swinson this week. But Blake Baker loves to send the heat, and I think that Conner Weigman has shown a lot of times on film he is going to do a lot of things to, number one, protect himself and smart on him. But, guys, the reason he's been injured, the reason that I feel like that mentally that he's gone down. Now, he tore an ACL last year. That's not because he was scared. But there are times that you see on film where it looks like he's scared to get hit. Guys, if you pop him one good time, you get to him one good time, it's going to get to him. I saw it last week. I literally saw a kid from Mississippi State come off the edge like his name was Major Burns, and Weigman get hit in the back. Brother, he was not the same. He was not the same. We are not the same. I am a Martian. Head ass. So, if you can get to him, and you get to him frequently, guys, he's going to Jackson Dart himself. Now, the last time I talked about this and talked about that, I think if you get to the quarterback and you affect them, you get one good hit on them, that it really affects their play with Jackson Dart. You know, my key to victory, I went back from the keys to victory against Ole Miss. Our number 5 is that if you get to Jackson Dart once, his play vastly decreases. Do you think that that's the truth?